My assumption is that everyone comes in at the beginning or not enough evidence level on all 10 practices. During the first semester, physics students are aiming for developing level in all practices, while honor students are aiming for proficient level in 9 of the 10 practices. Note that the expectations are different based on the course, but neither the practices nor achievement levels change. Students opting to take honors are expected to work at a faster pace, and therefore they should get to a higher level than those in regular physics. There's just more time to assimilate each skill in regular physics, therefore we just don't get as far. It has nothing at all to do with ability, it's really only about time and pacing. Over the first half of the school year, we begin with trying, moving to relevant, and then to explicit responses. I update Canvas every single time you hand something in. That's weekly, but I'll only update Genesis at the end of each unit. Units take about 6 to 8 weeks to complete. Note that grades will not be posted, but you can use the published grade translation chart to figure out what your current scores mean and how to get to the grade that you desire. In our district, teachers are required to post grades at the end of the semester, which is mid-January. This score has zero impact on your course grade. It's only a progress report. In other words, if you've met the target levels as described in the video guide part 8, then you are on track for an A, assuming that you continue to improve and grow. I'm going to walk you through how to determine the semester grade. So here's a sample honor student with scores earned in units 1, 2, and 3. Take yours out so you can do this as well. We open up the grade translation chart, ignoring the 4th column because that's only for the end of the year. We look at unit 3 only since that was the last unit completed before mid-year grades were due. We find the lowest score and count how many there are. In this case, there's 1 beginning. We look to the grade translation chart to find the rows with a minimum of beginning, which includes the 4 rows in the pink box. To figure out which row applies, we count up that there are 9 scores at developing or higher, which means that this student earned a B-. Note that the scores in units 1 and 2 have zero effect on the mid-year report. They show progress and areas of strength and weakness. They tell the student and me specific skills that the student can work on in the next unit. Remember, everything matters, but nothing counts. You practice because it will enable you to master the skills of the class. Why do you play GTA 4 for hours, or go to dance lessons nearly every day, or have to clock a certain amount of hours of training in order to become an EMT? Because you have to perform, and the only way to get good at it is to practice. That said, when you practice, sometimes you don't do so well, but sometimes it's super easy and you do great. Either way, there should be no effect on your grade. The key is consistent and honest feedback from both yourself and your teacher. You can't get feedback if you don't do the work. So what happens if you don't meet a target level? Nothing. Because when you're asking that question, you mean, what happens to my grade? Of course, if you miss a target level, you and I are going to have a conversation, especially if you are frustrated, confused, or concerned about why you are struggling. Sometimes it's a simple oversight, but other times we may need to meet regularly to get in some extra practice sessions together and get some guidance. You will continue to practice throughout the next unit, and we will reassess between 5 and 8 weeks later, depending on the unit length. What happens if you backtrack? Same response, nothing. Because when you're asking me that question, what you really mean is what happens to my grade. Of course, if you backtrack, you and I are going to have a conversation, especially if you are frustrated, confused, or concerned. Sometimes there's a clear reason, such as a prolonged absence from an illness, or you're involved in a sport that's taking up all your time. But other times we'll just meet to figure out what's going on with you. And again, you're just going to continue practicing throughout the next unit, and we're going to reassess and see where you're at 5 to 8 weeks later, depending on the unit length.